Masked Hero.
Hello everybody and welcome to another New Player Guide, the series where I look at a hero's kit. In this case we've got 18 cards today, plus a example deck, and the Obligation and Nemesis kit, so that you understand what this hero brings to Marvel Champions, what their weaknesses, their strengths are. Try to get to know them a little bit better. Without any further ado, we're going to be talking about Spectrum, aka Monica Rambeau today. She is a character that came out of the Mad Titan Shadow Box along with Adam Warlock. And I will say that I feel like both of those heroes are either you love them or you hate them. And I've learned to really love this character to some extent and really kind of jive with her playstyle. So Monica Rambeau is a alter ego with 3 recovery. She has the civilian trait and a setup ability of put all 3 form upgrades into play face down. We'll talk about those in just a second. She has power down ability, which is a force response after you change to this form. Turn all your energy form upgrades face down. She has 6 hand size and 11 hit points. I would say she starts out at a pretty good base here. She's got a good hand size, typical. She's got a pretty decent number of hit points, especially for her recovery. And the only kind of slight is just that her alter ego basically is just there for recovering and keeping your energy form upgrades balanced. But what are these energy form upgrades? Well, they are Gamma, which is an upgrade. It is a permanent energy form. It gives Spectrum a +2 attack, and the hero responsive after you change to this energy form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. And importantly, it has the physical resource on the bottom. Then we've got Pulsar, energy form again with permanent. Spectrum gets +2 defense. Hero response after you change to this form, heal 1 damage from Spectrum, and it's got the energy resource. And then we've got Photon, energy form again, obviously permanent. Spectrum gets +2 thwart. Hero response after you change to this form, remove 1 threat from scheme, and it's got the mental resource at the bottom. But then when we look at Spectrum, she is a 1/1/1 hero with the Aerial and Avenger trait. She starts with Aerial, that's so great, and has the energy transformation ability, which is a force response. After you change to this form, choose a face down energy form upgrade, flip that card face up to change to that energy form. So what's nice here is that as you are going from alter ego into your hero form, you're kind of choosing what is going to be the important trait for this turn. Do I want to be able to defend? Do I want to be able to thwart? Am I looking to attack? And that kind of allows her to play any role. She is one of those heroes that she is underpowered. I think to some extent she's not the most powerful hero, but she's kind of well-rounded in such a way so that she can play any role. Does she need to be your attacker? Does she need to be your thwarter? Is she going to be playing defense? I think that she sets herself up very well to be a very good basic attacker. She sets herself up really well to handle threat well, and I am learning that she is a very, very good perfect defense, because when you start with a base of 3 and you give yourself the vest so that you can have an additional one, so you even when you are in the other forms, you have a base of 2 defense. But when you're in your Pulsar form, you have 4 defense, and that's really good for perfect defense. So, you know, I haven't put her into a Change of Fortune deck yet, but I've definitely seen what's possible when you're just going with, what if I take no damage? What happens then? Beyond that, she has the 5 hand size and 11 hit points. All this is very basic. On the surface, she looks, I would say, rather weak. She doesn't do a lot, but I think that there are a lot of hooks here that allow her to be mutable. You can put her into whatever you want to do, like I said. And so I think that is her strength. Her strength is that she is, you know, she is your Kirby or your Mario from Smash Brothers. She's not great at a lot of things, but she's pretty good at everything. And so let's move on, and actually let's get straight into one of my favorite cards in her kit, and that is Energy Duplication. It is a 2-cost upgrade with the superpower trait, and the hero response of exhaust energy duplication, generate the printed resource on your face-up energy form upgrade. So again, we have each one of them. This adds a little bit of strategy as you are trying to figure out which one of these is going to be helpful. I will say that having played with some of the cards from the Sinister Motives wave, where requirement was a thing, and I think it kind of came back in Silk's hero pack if I remember correctly. But because when you're playing with the requirements, this allows Spectrum to be very strategic, where you don't need to necessarily prioritize that you have the resources on the bottom of your cards, although she has a healthy amount of everything. Actually, yeah, she has a very good balance. Plus, she has 4 wild resources in her. Well, actually, she has 6 wild resources in her kit. But if you exclude these, let's just say that you are an aggression and you want to play Hone Technique. Everybody wants to play Hone Technique. Well, one of the ways to make sure that you can hit Hone Technique and its kicker when you're actually playing with it is to just go into Photon form and you've got your genius resources. And I'll even say that from a strategic point right there, one of the nice things about that is, okay, so now you've got 3 base thwart and all of your aggression attack events when you're playing Hone Technique are going to get boosted up. So you sort of become a very well-rounded attacker and thwarter, and that can be really powerful. I think that just having these, it adds some strategy. It says, okay, I want to go down to Alter Ego, I want to drop my cards, I want to see what I've got, and then I can choose the energy form that I want to go into that's going to be able to help me if requirements are a thing. And yeah, just overall, I think this is a great card. I think it's a very thematic card. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with it, and I've learned how to strategically play with it to use it to my advantage. And yeah, I would just say Spectrum can definitely be a hero where you are rewarded if you are thinking through the villain phase into the hero phase, like what can I do to plan best for where we're going. And yeah, energy duplication is kind of one of those hooks that definitely unlocks that thinking. If you're enjoying this content, you may also enjoy some other content creators from around the community. Go check out Critical Encounters if you want to learn more about the different modular encounter sets. The Winning Hand, which looks at 1 card every episode at a time. Sidekicked, which is focused on the allies of the game. Stunning Confused, which just looks at the game from a different perspective every episode. And then we have gameplay such as Rey Plays Games, Solo Marvel Champion, MC Deck Discussions, which they also look at decks, and the Charred Gambit, who does a series where he's going through the game with the card pool that was available in chronological order through each scenario. Go check him out and tell him I sent you. Moving on to her signature ally, and we have Blue Marvel. He is a 3-cost ally with 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. He has the Aerial and Avenger trait, and a hero responsive after Blue Marvel enters play, change energy forms. So this can be really good if you are just getting into a form. Oh, I suppose one thing I kind of skipped over as I was talking about these energy forms. These remind me an awful lot of Ant-Man, where the large, or the giant form, the tiny form, or the alter ego, you are dealing a damage, you're removing a threat, you are healing the damage. What's nice about Spectrum is that with someone like Blue Marvel and a card we'll talk about next, you have the ability to go, maybe go into the Gamma form, break a tough, then suddenly play out Blue Marvel or the next card, and that allows you to change forms and change into the thwarting form or the defense form. Or at the end of the turn, you go, okay, so I've dealt my 3 damage in Gamma form. Now let me change to Pulsar form, where I will be able to defend and take advantage of that form. It is fair to say that Spectrum, one of Spectrum's weaknesses is that if you don't have the ability to change forms to what you're looking for, it can be you can fall onto the back foot very easily. But I think that to use that as the example, the sweeping example to why she's just a bad character, is undercutting what I think makes her a really fun hero. And so use Blue Marvel and use the next card we're going to talk about to your advantage. And if you need to switch multiple times in a turn, do that. Don't let that deter you from just trying to think through your turns. You might need to just pause for a second and go, before I start my turn, let me think about what my resources are, what I can do, and go from here. But yeah, Blue Marvel is, I think, a pretty well-rounded ally. 3 for 3, 2/2 stats is pretty good, and not every ally needs to be, healing you up and readying you and all that stuff. But yeah, speaking of changing forms, we have 3 copies of Speed of Light. It is a 0-cost event, and all it does is have a hero action, change energy forms, and draw 1 card. So this gives you a little bit of mobility. You can go, okay, I'm going to switch to your Photon form, thwart for, remove a threat, thwart for 3, and then switch to your Gamma form because you know that that's going to be important. Or again, you switch to your defense form. I find the defense form is actually one of the ways that I almost want to end a lot of my turns. Just give myself a good defense so that I can survive the turn, and that can be really powerful. Plus, you're drawing another card, so it just turns into a free card in your deck. You're hopefully making the right decision. This does also mean that you need to think through everything. You need to go, okay, I need to pick a form that's not the form that I want to end in. That might not be the first thing on your mind as you're sitting there planning out your turn. You're like, okay, when I switch from Alter Ego to Hero form, I want to do this. But this allows you to go, hey, let's take a step back. Is there another option? Maybe we heal up another damage, then change to our aggressive form, make a big attack. And yeah, just again, I find Spectrum to be so interesting because there's so many different directions. It turns into a chart of what you're capable of doing. But let's get into her actual events, and she has a lot of duplicates. So we're going to start with, we have 3 copies of Pulsar Shield. It is a 1-cost event, defense superpower traded, and here interrupt when Spectrum defends, change to Pulsar energy form and ready Spectrum. If you were already in Pulsar energy form, she gains Retaliate 1 until the end of the phase. This can be very good. This can also just be your way to get a defensive 3 while also readying back up. I certainly have tried to think of ways to make it so that I am in this form so that I can have Retaliate 1, because that can be very powerful. You make 2 different defenses, especially if you're in protection. This allows you to just be a really great protection hero. And again, if you have that defensive 3 or 4 because you have the vest, you have you're in the Pulsar form, it makes it really easy to be perfect defense. That Retaliate 1 helps to kind of push you through to like, okay, now if you've got the electrostatic armor or what have you, and the other cards that give you pseudo retaliate or retaliate 1, you can take out a 3 health minion by just defending, and that's just great. And yeah, I do see this more as a free ready and a way to give myself the good defense, and less so do I focus on the retaliate, because getting into Pulsar form before the energy phase is maybe easier said than done. But at the same time, don't chop off that option. That is something you can do, and you probably should try to do. Then we've got 3 copies of Photon Speed. It is an event, a 2-cost event, thwart and superpower traded. Hero action, change to Photon energy form and remove 4 threat from a scheme. If you are already in Photon energy form, ignore the crisis icon for this thwart. This can be very helpful. This does push you to be like, okay, I'm going to go from Alter Ego into Photon form because I want to be able to get around this icon that sits somewhere on the table. But either way, this is not the best thwarting, but because it has the ability to get around the crisis icon, it's pretty good. It's not the first thing I do, but then also if you're in Justice, like this is just additional thwarting, and it puts you in a position. It basically thwarts for 5. It can thwart for 5. It can either get around the crisis icon or it can thwart for 5 effectively, and that's great. And the last card in her kit, 3 copies of Gamma Blast, which is a 3-cost event, attack superpower traded, hero action, change to Gamma energy form and deal 7 damage to an enemy. If you were already in Gamma energy form, this attack gains overkill. This is one I definitely consider, like, what can I do to be in Gamma form so that this has overkill? Take out that guard minion, still get 3 damage through to the villain. And then obviously there are the contexts where like it's just you and the villain going toe to toe, and you don't care about that overkill, and so you're just happy to this does effectively deal 8 damage in that context. You were in, Photon form, you thwart for 3, then suddenly you flip over to Gamma form, you deal a damage, then you deal 7 more damage. So you break a tough, then you deal 7 more damage. And I think that's really important, and I like the way that this is written, so that is not even ambiguous. You change to the energy form, you get to do that damage, and then you get to deal the 7 damage. So you do break. It's pretty hard to miss the fact that you break a tough, you deal 7 damage, in a context where that's relevant. It's not my favorite card, but I think that especially because it's changing your energy form, it is secretly doing 8 damage, or it's doing 7 damage and overkill, and it's hard to complain about that. But yeah, that is her entire kit. Let's go talk about the example deck. All right, and here we are looking at the example deck, which, just for clarity purposes, is that it will be using cards that are exclusively from either the core set or the wave that our hero came out of, so the Mad Titan Shadow wave. So this deck only needs Mad Titan Shadow, Nebula, Valkyrie, Vision, the core set, and War Machine to build. Sounds like I hit just about every part of the buffalo there. So yeah, we will look into this. This deck was basically built with the idea of trying to utilize problem solvers. I'll just cut right to the chase. I looked at problem solvers as a Justice card. Looking at it right now, you can see that it is a 4-cost event with the Thwart trait and Alliance, which means that all the players at the table can help to pay for this. And the hero action of exhaust an Avengers character and a Guardian character, remove X threat from each scheme, where X is equal to the combined thwart of those characters. Because we are already an Avengers character, it makes it pretty easy for us to have the Avenger, but we also do have Blade and Blue Marvel as Avengers, and then the rest of our allies are all Guardians, meaning that it should not be too difficult for us to have our hero plus a Guardian in play, or we can always use Blade or Blue Marvel, who has a 2 in thwart, in case we are just not in the right energy form to kind of take advantage of that. Either way, this is where I ended up with, but let's quickly just look at each one of our cards just to understand, what they can do for us. Well, we got Blade here. He is a 1-cost ally. He has no consequential damage, and he has 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health, the Avenger and Vampire trait, and the force responsive. After Blade thwarts or attacks, choose to either spend a physical resource from your hand or discard Blade. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to use our energy duplication to pay for this. We do actually have to have physical resources, but like I said, we can just keep him in the wings just to be part of that problem solvers, to just help remove 3 or 4 threat from all the schemes in play, and and go from there. Then we got Blue Marvel, who we've already talked about during the rest of everything. Then we got Eros. He is a 2-cost Justice ally with 2 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points, and the Guardian trait, and a response of after Eros enters play, confuse a minion for each mental resource used to pay for him. Again, with energy duplication, we should be able to hopefully leverage that if we need to, or we just kind of have the resources in our deck. Obviously, you can see already on the screen we have a genius in our deck, so we might be able to just pay for him with that 1 card and confuse 2 minions if need be. Then we've got Martin X. He is a 3-cost ally, and he will be 3-cost for the purposes of this deck. He has 1/1 stats and 4 hit points. 4 hit points are helpful. The Guardian trait is helpful, and if we were a Guardian, this would cost 1 less, but we are not. So that's he's not the best ally, but he's going to help us to do what we're going to need to do, and we'll be able to thwart without needing to deal any consequential damage to him. Then we've got Quasar, pretty good ally in my opinion. He is 3-cost with 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. Response after Quasar enters play, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. That's just nice, comes into play, helps us to kind of buy some time. If we're really going up against a lot of stuff, he's going to help us in that way. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of allies that have high thwart, but I'd like to think that Problem Solvers is going to just kind of make the difference. And kind of, even though we have a reasonably low thwarting ability, that should not be a deterrent. And then last thing is Venom. 4-cost ally, 2 thwart, 3 attack, 4 hit points, Guardian trait again. While no threat is on the main scheme, reduce all consequential damage Venom takes by 1. So suddenly he's going to have 2 thwart, 3 attack with only 1 consequential damage. That's great. Most importantly, we have Problem Solvers. He's going to be able to give us 2 in that stat, which means if we are in the right energy form, we'll remove 5 threat from each scheme. I'm trying to make water out of wine here, because Problem Solvers, I think, from what I understand, Problem Solvers, and most of the Alliance cards that kind of came out of this wave, were not looked upon fondly or not remembered fondly, but I want to remember Problem Solvers as fondly as possible. You got the basic resources. We got Power of Justice, because I think that it will work out for us. It'll especially help with Eros. And then we've got 3 interrogation rooms, because we're playing with the core set. 1-cost support with the location trait, max 1 per player. Why do I have 3 of them then? I think... Alright, now we're back. Okay, so this was supposed to be Surveillance Team. That's what I meant it to be. In a multiplayer setting, Interrogation Room is not bad, just Surveillance Team is what we're looking for. So yes, 2-cost support, shield trait, uses 3 snoop counters, exhaust Surveillance Team and remove 1 snoop counter, remove 1 threat from the scheme. Pretty well known. It'd be great if we had the ally that helps us out there, but fortunately that is a different wave. Then we got Quinn Carrier, 3-cost support with the Avenger and Vehicle traits. Play only if you have the Avenger trait, which we do. Exhaust, generate a wild resource. That's just going to be helpful because, in general, we want to have wild resources. Unfortunately, again, that does not help us with Blade. Then we have Chat and Counter. We have so many allies, I thought this would be a good fit. So attach or side scheme, max 1 per scheme. Interrupt. When attached side scheme is defeated, search your deck and discard powerful ally, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. And obviously it's a 0 cost upgrade, as you can see. But we have enough allies, and they are important enough to our strategy that I wanted to make sure that we had a way to get them, and this is one of those ways. Heroic Intervention, 1 copy of that gives us +1 thwart. That way our thwart is even better. Naturally we have 2, but we can also have 4 if we need to. And then Justice Served, a 1 cost upgrade. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Hero response after you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme. Discard Justice Served, ready your hero. This is just great. Every hero likes when they can ready back up. But Spectrum especially gets good use out of it, especially because her alter ego is exclusively there just to recover. Doesn't do anything special for you other than draw an additional card. So if you happen to recover, flip over to hero form, use one of your events to remove the last threat, you can ready back up. It just plays like Ready to Rumble, and it is a thwarting based Ready to Rumble. Speaking of that, we've got 2 copies of Ready to Rumble, and I think this is also a great card because, as I said before, Spectrum likes Gold Alter Ego, but her Alter Ego only is drawing you that additional card and recovering. So when you flip over to hero form, you get to ready back up your hero and proceed with what you're going to do. Plus, you get to take advantage of a 3 in one of your stats, which is great. And I think that is it. So that's the deck. But I wanted to try to make problem solvers into a thing, and I thought, hey, why not? And that's it. So let's jump back into the review and talk about my obligation. All right, and we are back to talking about the obligation, which is lose control. Give to the Monica Rambeau player. You cannot change energy forms. That is rough. Alter Ego action, exhaust Monica Rambeau. Remove loss of control from the game. Did I say lose control at the top? I probably just had that song on my head. I think this is a pretty soft obligation. It's just there to be a speed bump. But also, if you are in an energy form that you're fine with, that you can carry the rest of the game through, this almost is nothing. It's like, okay, when I get the chance to go down to Alter Ego, I will. And you want to do that at a time when you're not going down to Alter Ego to, recover, because you're going to need to get rid of this first, and maybe you're going to need to spend the top of your turn doing that. I will say that, Ready to Rumble. Ready to Rumble is a great card with Spectrum. Just putting that out there. But I would say this is pretty soft. It's not that difficult. If you happen to be an Alter Ego when you get it, it's like, okay, I just exhaust and this goes away, I guess, and I don't get to recover. But just overall, pretty soft and not the thing I'm most worried about. Radioactive Man and his side scheme, Reactor Meltdown. So Radioactive Man is a 1 scheme, 1 attack, 6 health minion with the elite and genius traits. And the force responsive after Radioactive Man activates against you, deal 1 damage to each character you control, and then he has the boost ability of deal 1 damage to each character you control. This can be difficult. This can be very problematic because you can't go into the villain phase with only 1 health because Radioactive Man is going to defeat you, no question. But then we have Radioactive Meltdown, a side scheme with 2 threat. It has that crisis icon on it, and when defeated, deal 1 damage to each friendly character in play. So that's when it becomes relevant in multiplayer. This needs to be handled at a good time when it's not going to be taking out strays on allies. It's not going to be suddenly making one of the players just drop. It can definitely be a difference maker. Something that's like, oh, because we defeated Reactor Meltdown, you need to go down to Alter Ego because you will be at 1, and there's a good chance you're not going to just survive the villain phase. But overall, I'd say these are pretty soft, pretty manageable. You just need to basically throw your Gamma Blast at Radioactive Man and throw a basic thwart at Reactor Meltdown. Then we've got 2 copies of Sap Power, which has art that I really like. A attachment with attached to your identity, force response after your turn ends, take 1 damage, alter ego action, spend energy, discard this card. This is a attachment that I would definitely want to deal with. This in my mind would push me to alter ego because it's a ticking clock, and that 1 or 2 damage you might take is enough to really throw off the math, and suddenly a scenario you were going to win is a scenario that suddenly you just lost because you just took too much damage. So this is one that I would definitely want to get rid of. And again, I would definitely say Monica Rambeau is a hero, or Spectrum is a hero. Monica Rambeau is a form you want to go down to, I would say, quite often. Maybe not every turn, but definitely, just like I said before, setting up which form you're going to be in. You're going to want to go to Monica to give you that free energy form setup. And so this is a card that hopefully will not be around too long and you'll be able to handle. And last card of the day, we've got Radioactive Blast. A treachery with when revealed, place 2 threat on the main scheme. If you're an alter ego, when revealed in the hero, take 2 damage. Pretty simple by the books. It's got 1 boost icon on it. This is probably the least of your worries. Although it is something to keep in mind, because if you're doing the math, you're like, okay, this is where we're at. I don't know that I've ever lost a game because I was an alter ego and has added 2 more threat, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. Is there is technically this treachery in the deck that could do this, so I should at least keep that in mind. But yeah, that is it. That is Spectrum. I think that she is a fun hero. I think that she's one that I understand might have been a little misunderstood. I do think the fact that she has aerial makes it so that there is a lot of aerial matter stuff now that has kind of come in since she was printed that I think she definitely thrives with. She's right up there with like Thor, who I know I can reliably get aerial with. Rocket Raccoon, I feel like I can pretty reliably get it with. And then, like Nova, who has, I think, just naturally has aerial. I don't know why he wouldn't, but yeah, she's a fun hero, and I think that she's definitely deserving of getting played, but I understand that she's also older, and there is a little bit of like a power level imbalance. There's just better heroes now, but I think she's absolutely fine, and that Mad Titan Shadow is not being printed anymore. It's a shame that just less people are going to get to play her, but I think that she's a fun character. But that is it. We will get back to this in good time. We will do more of these. I think the next one will probably be Adam Warlock, just make our way through the Mad Titan Shadow box. But until next time, have a great day. You're doing great. Keep it up.